Sometimes the hardest battle isn't with the world, it's with yourself. You hold on to pain, guilt, and memories, hoping they'll make sense one day, but they only keep you stuck. Master Shi Heng Yi reminds us, healing doesn't happen by fighting the past, it begins the moment you let it go. So today, breathe, forgive, and allow peace to return. There comes a time in everyone's life when holding on starts to hurt more than letting go. We carry memories, people, and emotions long after their purpose has been served, believing that clinging to them somehow keeps us whole. But what if the very thing you refuse to release is the reason you're unable to heal? What if freedom doesn't come from fixing the past, but from finally setting it down? Today, I want to take you on a journey, not through the noise of the world, but into the quiet strength of your own heart. Because true healing doesn't happen when everything is perfect. It happens the moment you decide to stop fighting what's gone and start embracing what remains. You heal the moment you let go of anger, regret, expectations, and control. You heal when you stop asking, why me? And start saying a thank you for the lesson. As you listen, don't just hear these words, feel them. Let them sink into the parts of you that have been tired of pretending to be strong. This is not just a speech, it's a reminder that peace was never lost. It was only hidden beneath everything you refused to release. By the end of this journey, I hope you will find the courage to open your hands, release the past, and allow life to flow freely once again. Because the moment you let go, that's the moment you truly begin to heal. Healing begins with acceptance, because acceptance is the bridge between pain and peace. Most of our suffering does not come from what happened, but from our resistance to it. When life hits us with loss, disappointment, or heartbreak, our first reaction is often to deny it, to replay it endlessly in our minds, hoping somehow it will change. But the truth is, no matter how many times we revisit the past, it remains the same. The only thing that changes is our present moment, and it slips away while we are busy clinging to what's gone. Acceptance is not about saying that what happened was fair or right. It's about understanding that it already happened. It's acknowledging reality as it is, without trying to repaint it. When you accept, you stop fighting with yourself. You stop wasting your energy on what you cannot undo. That energy slowly begins to return to you, and with it comes a strange sense of calm. You begin to breathe again. You begin to see that life still moves forward, even after pain. Acceptance allows the heart to rest. It doesn't erase the memories, but it transforms your relationship with them. Instead of being chains that hold you down, they become lessons that guide you forward. The moment you say, yes, this is what it is, you reclaim control over your inner world. You are no longer a victim of what happened. You become the observer, the learner, the one who grows. Many people think healing comes from forgetting, but in truth, it comes from understanding. Acceptance helps you understand that some things are simply not in your control. People leave, plans fail, and life changes. But within that chaos, there is something deeply freeing about surrendering to what is. It opens space for new beginnings. When you accept, your heart no longer resists life. You begin to see that every experience, even the painful ones, carries a hidden purpose. Acceptance is not weakness. It is wisdom. It takes great strength to stop fighting and simply allow yourself to be present with what is. And it is in that presence, in that surrender, that healing begins. Quietly, naturally, and completely. Letting go is often mistaken for losing something. But in truth, it is the art of releasing what no longer serves your peace. You don't lose by letting go. You simply set yourself free from the weight that has been holding you down. Life becomes heavy when we cling to people, moments, or emotions that have already fulfilled their purpose. We carry them inside us, replaying their memory, hoping they will bring back the comfort they once gave. But holding on to what is ended is like trying to keep water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, it still slips away. The tighter you hold, the more pain you feel. When you finally open your hands and release, you realize that peace was waiting on the other side of surrender. Letting go is not about forgetting or pretending it didn't matter. It's about honoring what was, learning from it, and then allowing life to continue. You start to understand that every chapter must close before the next one can begin. When you let go, you make space for new energy, new lessons, and new blessings to enter your life. You are not betraying the past. You are simply trusting the flow of life. Imagine walking through a garden carrying a heavy bag of stones. Those stones represent regrets, anger, guilt, and attachment. When you start dropping them one by one, you don't lose anything valuable. You simply walk lighter, breathe easier, and see the beauty around you more clearly. Letting go teaches you that peace is not found in control, but in release. You cannot force someone to stay. You cannot rewrite what already happened, and you cannot control every outcome. The moment you stop trying to grip the unchangeable, you allow peace to settle in your soul. Life always moves forward, and by letting go, you move with it instead of against it. The act of release is not a moment of weakness, but a moment of courage. It is when you trust that the universe will replace what you lost with something that truly belongs to you. When you let go, you heal, because your heart finally learns how to rest out. Holding on to pain, regret, or anger is like carrying invisible chains that tie you to moments that no longer exist. Emotional freedom begins the moment you decide to stop feeding those memories with your energy. The longer you hold on, the more your heart becomes trapped in the past, and the less room there is for peace to grow. When you let those emotions go, it's as if you open a window in a dark room. Fresh air enters, light returns, and suddenly you realize how heavy the air had become. Letting go of emotional pain doesn't mean that what happened didn't matter. It means you no longer allow it to control your present. Every emotion you hold on to has energy, and when that energy is stuck in resentment, guilt, or sorrow, it blocks the natural flow of life within you. By releasing it, you allow healing energy to move freely again, bringing back clarity and strength. Many people fear letting go because they believe their pain defines them. They wear it like armor, thinking it protects them from being hurt again. But that armor slowly turns into a cage. Emotional freedom requires vulnerability, the courage to face what you feel and still choose to let it pass through you instead of holding it inside. You begin to see that emotions are like waves. They come, they rise, and they fall. They are not meant to be stored, only experienced. When you start observing your emotions instead of clinging to them, you reclaim your power. You no longer react out of habit. You respond from awareness. That is the beginning of real healing. When you let go of emotional burdens, your energy shifts from survival to creation. You no longer live in the story of what hurt you. You begin writing a new one based on peace, understanding, and growth. Your mind becomes clearer, your heart lighter, and your soul more alive. Emotional freedom doesn't come from running away from pain, but from facing it and saying, "You no longer have power over me." The moment you release the emotions that weigh you down, you reconnect with the flow of life itself, and that flow naturally heals everything it touches. Forgiveness is one of the deepest forms of healing because it releases the invisible tension between your heart and your past. When someone hurts you, the wound is not only in what they did, but in how you continue to carry it. Anger, resentment, and bitterness are heavy burdens, and every time you think about what happened, you reopen the same wound. Forgiveness is not about saying that what they did was right or acceptable. It is about choosing to free yourself from the emotional prison that pain has built around you. The truth is, forgiveness heals you more than it heals the other person. It allows your heart to breathe again, to stop replaying the story, and to return to peace. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The only one it destroys is you. When you forgive, you reclaim your power. You take back control from the people or situations that once controlled your emotions. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to trust them again or even let them back into your life. It simply means you've decided that their actions will no longer define your happiness. It's a personal decision to rise above the pain and choose peace over suffering. Many people wait for an apology before they forgive, but true forgiveness is something you give to yourself. Fast do you give to yourself? You do it not because they deserve it, but because you deserve freedom. As you release the weight of grudges, your heart becomes lighter and your perspective expands. You start to see that every experience, even the painful ones, carries a lesson. Sometimes people hurt you not because of who you are, but because of who they are, trapped in their own pain and limitations. Understanding this allows compassion to take the place of anger. Forgiveness transforms pain into wisdom and wounds into strength. When you finally let go of resentment, life starts to flow again. You feel more open, more present, and more connected to peace. Forgiveness is not a single act, but a process, a journey of returning to yourself, free from the weight of what others have done. And in that freedom, you find your true healing. That silence is one of the most powerful teachers in the journey of healing, because it brings you face to face with yourself. In a world that constantly demands noise, attention, and distraction, silence becomes rare, yet it holds the answers that words cannot give. When you are silent, you can finally hear what your heart has been trying to say beneath all the chaos. The mind loves to replay old stories, past mistakes, and imagined futures, but in silence that noise begins to fade. You start to see that peace is not something you have to search for. It's something that appears naturally when the noise stops. Silence is not emptiness. It is fullness without disturbance. It gives your thoughts space to settle and your emotions space to breathe. When you choose silence instead of reaction, you break the cycle of negativity that often keeps pain alive. Instead of arguing with your memories or trying to prove your worth, you simply observe. You realize that not everything requires a response, not every thought deserves attention, and not every wound needs to be reopened. The more you sit in silence, the more you begin to understand yourself. You notice how often your suffering was fueled by overthinking, by attaching meaning to things that didn't deserve your energy. Silence teaches you detachment, not because you stop caring, but because you start caring for your inner peace more than for noise and validation. Through silence, your intuition grows stronger. You begin to feel what is right instead of forcing decisions with logic or fear. Silence also helps you forgive, because when the noise of anger fades, the truth of compassion can be heard. You start to see that those who hurt you are also human, lost in their own noise. Silence allows understanding to replace judgment, peace to replace reaction, and clarity to replace confusion. It's in that quiet space that you realize healing is not about changing the past, but about calming your inner world so deeply that the past no longer disturbs your peace. Silence doesn't mean the absence of sound. It means the presence of peace. And within that peace, all healing begins to unfold naturally. Growth is the silent reward that comes when you finally learn to let go. Every time you release something that no longer serves you, whether it's a person, a memory, or an expectation, you create space for something greater to enter. Life constantly invites you to evolve, but growth cannot happen when your hands are full of old pain. Letting go is not just about moving on from the past. It's about transforming through it. Each lost disappointment or ending carries a hidden message that pushes you toward a deeper understanding of who you are. When you stop clinging to what used to be, you begin to see what can be. Growth comes quietly, in moments when you stop resisting change and start trusting life's direction. Letting go teaches you to surrender control and embrace uncertainty. It's in that surrender that your spirit learns flexibility, patience, and strength. The things you once feared losing often lead you to the places where you truly belong. Growth is rarely comfortable. It asks you to face your own resistance, to accept that not everything or everyone is meant to stay. But in that discomfort, something inside you expands. You start recognizing your worth beyond what you've lost, realizing that endings are not failures, but transitions towards something more aligned with your soul. As you grow, you understand that peace does not come from holding on tightly, but from trusting that whatever leaves your life is making room for something more authentic. You no longer view letting go as weakness, but as wisdom. The wisdom to know that life is always moving, always transforming, and so must you. Each time you release an old version of yourself, you rise into a stronger one. Growth happens quietly in moments of acceptance, forgiveness, and courage. It doesn't announce itself, but one day you look back and realize that what once broke you has now shaped you into someone unshakable. True growth is when you no longer need to prove your strength because you live it. You've learned that peace is not found in holding on, but in allowing life to unfold. Letting go becomes your greatest teacher, and growth becomes the natural reward for your courage to trust the journey. Healing is not something that happens overnight. It's a gentle journey of acceptance, release, and renewal. You heal the moment you stop fighting the past and start embracing the present. You heal when you choose peace over pride, forgiveness over anger, and understanding over resistance. Every tear, every silence, every moment of surrender is a small step toward freedom. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of strength. It means you trust that what is meant for you will never be taken away, and what has left was never meant to stay. When you finally release what weighs you down, you discover that you were never broken. You were only transforming into a wiser, calmer, and more powerful version of yourself. Life always rewards those who have the courage to let go and move forward with an open heart. So don't hold on to what hurts. Hold on to what heals. May your heart find peace and release. May your soul find strength in silence. And may every ending guide you toward a new beginning filled with light. Remember, you heal the very moment you decide to let go. Not because the past changes, but because you do. Thank you for listening, and may life bless you with the courage to release what no longer serves you, the wisdom to grow from what once hurt you, and the faith to trust in new beginnings. Good luck on your journey of healing and becoming. Whoa.